out there? How's everybody doing? Is everybody favorite conservative in New York? Christopher Wright here present you another one of my momentous walk and talk videos. So what's today's walk and talk going to be about? Oh man, it's going to be about a very situation that just occurred here in Brooklyn, and I'm sure you guys, my patrons out there, been paying attention, have heard about it. And it was an incident that happened off of Utica, over where I work at, matter of fact, not too far, a couple blocks away from where I work. Hold on 1 second here. Truck got to pass it by here. Let me take a seat because this is a very serious walk and talk here. So I just want to speak on this without, no interference or anything like that. And it was incidents that happened where 15 young gentlemen, teenagers, not gentlemen, I'm sorry, 15 young boys, because that's what they are, boys, nothing to do with gentlemen or men on this one, attacked a 15-year-old girl, and it was insane, man. If you guys saw the video footage, and I'll post the video footage, before the video starts, so you guys take a look at it for those who haven't seen it. But pretty much what happened is she was walking. This was after school times, around I guess 2 or 3 p.m.ish, 4 p.m.ish, and on the way home from school, she was walking home, and she was pretty much jumped by 15 teenagers, man. They pretty much ganged up on her, stomped on her, and beat her up and punched her, kicked her. All kinds of craziness, man. The footage you guys will see, it's insane what they did to this young lady, man. And to the point where they just knocked her unconscious. And when she was unconscious and bloody, laid on the ground, one of the young teenagers took her Jordan shoes, her Jordan 1 retro shoes off her feet, and walked off with them, man. And this is absolutely insane. This is not called for, man. I grew up in the way, I'm 36 years old. So when I was younger, man, I was in a generation, it wasn't, I'm not an old man here, but even in my generation, man, to hit a girl, to attack a girl, anything was just totally uncalled for. No reason for it if you were a dude to do that. It was, absolutely insane, man. So they went ahead and they did this to this young man, this young woman. And once they did it, if you guys watch the footage, there's a timestamp of when one of the boys when he took the shoes off the girl and walked off. The timestamp read when he was, they got good. Thank goodness they got good footage of these boys, of their faces and everything like that. But when he took the shoes off of her and he was walking off, the timestamp said 13:52. And that's military time, obviously, 1:52. So that's around the time when it happened. But I posted that picture and I shared it on my social media. And I did it and said, oh, men and women lie, but numbers don't. Check out the timestamp. And some of the people looked at it and were like, Chris, what's that mean? What's that all about? And I said, the timestamp said 13:52. And if you look at the United States of America right now, black community is 13% of the population, and they commit 52% of the crimes. So, and I'm tired of people in the minority community, my fellow people, black, brown people, coming out and always trying to defend that and try to say, oh, the numbers, or those numbers aren't accurate, and blah 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 blah. And I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to do it. I'm here to kick the truth and kick the facts, man. The numbers don't lie, man. And if you ask me, Chris, what's the reason behind that? The reason, in my opinion, behind it is because in the minority community right now, there's about a 70% birth rate of babies being born out of wedlock. And let's not even talk about the abortion issue going on, in the black community, because all these single mothers can't, take care of all these babies they're having, man. It's insane. So, this is what's going on because, I grew up, as you guys know, in a household with a mother and a father. My dad was an Army Major veteran. And with my father, he worked, after he left the military, the first full-time job he had was at Charles Hickey School in Baltimore, Maryland. And you guys can Google that and research it. But it's the largest detention center in the whole state of Maryland. And what my dad would always do on Father and Sundays, because my sister, I have an older sister, she wasn't allowed to go to school at all. No women at all allowed, unless you were an employee there. You weren't allowed to go to that school at all because it was such a rough school. Because this is when Baltimore in the 90s was the murder capital for, almost a decade straight. It was the murder capital. So there was a lot of craziness going on in Baltimore at that time. So my dad would take me to Father and Sunday to let me come down to the detention center, and he'll introduce me to some of the kids there. And when I would meet them, man, these kids would be tatted up, man. I mean, tats on the face before it was a popular thing. Tats on the face, all over the body, big, pretty strong looking kids, man, physically strong, working out all the time, stuff like that, man. Some rough looking kids, man. And I would look at these kids And when I would meet them, I'd be like, man, if I saw these kids outside of this situation and my dad wasn't around, it would be some serious trouble, man, because they were some rough looking kids. So after that, my dad would sit me down with them, man, and he would let me talk to him. And after talking to him for a period of time, I would say, they would, shake my hand and walk off or whatever. My dad would ask me, how old do you think that young man was or whatever? And I would say, I don't know, 17 years old? And he said, no, your age, he's 12, he's 11. And I'd just be like, man, are you crazy? Like, that's insane. And so I'd be kind of worried about my father after that. I'd be like, man, how are these kids gonna be treating my dad? You know what I mean? Like, if he has to, on a regular basis, deal with these young kids like this. And when I would turn and watch them talk to my dad from a distance, everything would be yes, sir, no, sir, yes, Mr. Right, no, Mr. Right, very respectful to my father. And so I knew at a very young age, like 11, 12 years old, that a lot of this black youth, all they need is black male youth. What they need is they need a strong father figure in the household. That's all they need, mainly, in the house. And they were lacking that. So when a black, in my opinion, male youth, not just black, brown, but anybody, if you have no father in the household, no structure, no discipline, then you get what you saw in that video. Just rambunctious foolishness, craziness. No respect for authority, no respect for, women, no respect for a lot of things, man. So, that's the importance of having a father in the household. And as we know, the Democrat Party, all their policies are made to push the black father out of the household. And they've been doing that with, the welfare system. They've been using that. And I mean, ever since slavery, look at the Democratic Party all the way back, dating back to slavery. They've been trying to remove the father at the family because, if they remove the father, they could control the family unit. And back in slavery times, they did it physically, ride the slave ship, take the father physically away from his family, and they could control the family unit. Now, in 2020, they're doing the welfare system. They're doing it, saying, hey, they're telling black women, if you could prove on paperwork that there's no father in the household, we'll give you more money. The government is trying to become the father in 2020. And you've seen what's done to the black community. You see the violence that's occurring. You see the murder, the crime. Everything has increased. And it's not because, black people are just, uncivilized. It's because of the fact there's no father in the household. You know what I mean? And I thank God all the time for, me and my father, we don't have a perfect relationship throughout the years. We're doing great now, but, and it's always been perfect. But I told him recently at Thanksgiving, I said, hey, Dad, thank you for just being there. You know what I mean? Because I understand you being there, the importance and what it did to me as being a man and how I treat women, how I treat people, how I treat, authority figures. A lot of that has to do with how my father raised me. So, everybody out there listening, man, I just want to speak on this because of the fact that it happened here in New York, and it's everybody feel conservative in New York here, man. So I had to speak on the matter, man, because it's such an important, big deal. Because this to me is showing a shift in civil behavior in this country if we don't stop it now. And I told you that the way, in my opinion, to stop it is get that black father back in the household, man. That is very, very important, man. That's a top tier when it comes to minority community, man. Is bring the father back, and things will improve immediately. Oh yeah. Before I forget, another thing I forgot to mention that's happening here in New York that's causing a lot of issues is, as you guys might have heard, bail reform. And that was a bill that got passed by Don Cuomo and Kami de Blasio, where pretty much criminals, they commit a crime and get caught, they pretty much get released the same day because, there's no bail. So, you commit a crime, you get released the same day, and then these criminals are committing crimes over and over and over again. And that's what you're seeing, because if you give criminals, that ability to do that, then you're gonna have increased crime and everything that's happening in New York, and you're seeing the effects of it. And it's happened to this 15-year-old girl. So again, gotta throw that out there. I'm anti-bail reform. That's why I got the shirt on now. Big government sucks, and don't tread on me with the pants. Gotta wake up, people. Gotta take the power out of government's hands, man. Because government with too much control, then you get what you're seeing with this unfortunate happened to this 15-year-old girl. So God bless everybody out there listening. God bless the United States of America. Peace out.